Hey guys. Well, today I would like to I'm going at least to have a lot of fun today by ranking those books, the books which I have read and some of the films which I watched by Stephen King. Stephen King is a very famous, well, probably one of the most famous writers of these days. And no surprise that I got into a lot of his stuff. The funny thing is, I actually recorded this video twice because I recorded it once and then I realized that I forgot to allow screen sharing. But the ones I read will be only in the first row. It's my first video like that, but I actually quite enjoy them. So I decided that it would be fun to do it myself as well. So let's get into that. The first book on my list here is The Green Mile. Well, it was interesting. I didn't read the book, but I have watched the film, and I had been expecting quite a lot from it because everyone is raving about this film. So it's on top list of the best films ever made and things like that. So I was expecting something really emotional, which will touch me deeply. I wouldn't say that it wasn't emotional, and I could relate to the character somehow. At least I could sympathize with him. But I wouldn't say that I shed a lot of tears or something like this. It was just sad, yes, in a way. But it wasn't bad, so I would put it in the good category. I think the book might have been good as well. Well, the next book, the famous It. Well, I guess it's the most famous book by him, and that's why he's called the king of the horror genre. Probably because of that one book specifically, maybe because of The Shining as well. And I didn't read the book, unfortunately. I watched the films, the old one, the new one as well. And oh my God, that was very scary. I remember watching it in my childhood. It was deep at night. My grandparents were sleeping in another room. And I was so afraid after the film, so terrified that I couldn't even get up and switch off the TV. So it it speaks volumes. Well, so what do I think? I think that it's great also in terms of investigation and the mystery, overall mystery, which encompasses. And I generally enjoyed the film a lot, and it was interesting to follow how those kids try to um, understand what on earth is happening. So I think the book must be very enjoyable as well. So definitely one of his best works, if not the best. So just wow. Next one, Needful Things. Another book which I haven't read, but I did watch the film, and it was one of the best films I watched in my childhood, I think. At least the setting was amazing. The story, how it developed, the morale which he was trying to show, everything was great, top notch. So definitely wow. Next one, this book, which we have here. I also read it in my childhood. I think one of the first books I read by Stephen King. I just picked it by accident, and it might not have been the most appropriate book for a kid of like 10 or 11 years old. Uh, it's a story of a woman who is being bullied and chased after by her husband, and well, basically how she's trying to stay resilient, how she's trying to escape him. But that was great. I literally couldn't put it down. I read it in a couple of days, and I have only good memories about it. So it's all so mixed with this magical realism, which I'm a big fan of. So I would put it into the Mao category as well. Next one, Under the Dome. Well, before reading the book, I was told that I would be disappointed because it's too big and a bit boring. Well, I still um, ventured into the book, and you know what? It is big, but I think as a whole, the plot line is quite strong, and it's quite interesting to follow. Like the setting is great, first of all, right? To see how people behave in this restricted environment. And the characters are great as well. So there is this main villain, which is quite obnoxious, and you hate him right from the beginning. So he gets his due in the end, which made me very happy. I wouldn't say that it was a wow. It was quite a good book. I would put it into the great category, but quite big as well. Next one, Misery. Okay, another book I haven't read, but watched a film instead. I mean, the main character was very believable, and whole story actually it gave me a similar vibe to this Flying Over the Cuckoo's Nest book, and there is a film with Jack Nicholson, I think, the main role, in the leading role as well. So he and I gave a similar vibe to this nurse, which is in Cuckoo's Nest, which is despotic and controlling. And you kind of get a similar character from here, but it's amazing. It was wonderfully portrayed by, don't remember her name, but I think she got an Oscar for it. The lead actress. It's great, I think. It was very good. Pet Cemetery. Oh, another one that gives me goosebumps. And I still remember some scenes from the film. Again, I haven't read the book, but the film was spooky, quite disturbing, I would say. Some scenes still haunt me at night sometimes. Uh, and I guess the book must be good as well. So I would put it into the great category. Sure. The next one, The Shining. Well, here I have some discrepancy between what I read and what I watched because I did both. And the book itself was quite good. It was enjoyable. The mystery was there and quite interesting. I was a bit disappointed by the ending because I actually wanted him to investigate further and to understand what was happening, what was the reason behind everything, why this place was haunted, and so on. He didn't really give us a lot of answers in the end. So that was a bit disappointing. The film by Kubrick, which is very famous, which I watched as well, not really my thing. I don't think it was that scary or anything. Some scenes were good, true, but the book was better. So I think it's great. Running Man. Well, Running Man, another book which I didn't read but watched the film based on. And it was quite entertaining. That's not deep, highbrow literature, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of fun. So I think it was great. The next one, Joyland. Well, that was a disappointment. I got into that thinking that it would be some mystery because of this theme park, and come on, it makes for a good setting for a horror genre. And I was waiting for something to happen, something scary. But then I realized at the end that it was just a detective story without very impressive storyline, with no twists so whatsoever. So what's quite average. It was easy to read though. The next one, Gunslinger. Well, I was very looking forward to this book. Even ordered it from the States, was very happy when it arrived, and I got right into it. And everyone had recommended this book so much to me. Had people saying that it's one of the best books ever, and I mean the whole series. And of course, the pretext, like the context, is amazing, right? Like there's some mysterious dark tower which you have to get to. So I had very high expectations. Well, they were not exactly met. So basically, the book is, I think, I understand that it was one of his first books, but I felt it was a bit amateurish, not well written. The story itself is a bit far-fetched. The characters are not really believable, but I guess it was okay to read for one time. So let's put it into a good category. Next one, Dreamcatcher. Well, I watched the film. The film was very boring. I don't remember much of it. Maybe I wasn't attentive enough to the film. The book might have been better, so I'll just put it into the average category. Carrie, his first book. Well, the book which started it all. And I watched the film. I think I also watched the old film, which is quite famous, and the new one. It was quite entertaining. It was interesting to follow the plot, and generally, I think that is a very symbolic and very iconic book because a lot of scenes are highly recognizable and became part of pop culture. So I think it is an important book, and it was quite good. So I would put it into the great category. Next one, The Stand, the biggest book by him, probably the biggest book I've ever read. So, um, what can I say? Um, I didn't like it. First of all, it was too big to start with. The first part of the book is interesting when there is this apocalypse happening, and but then it's slowly um, moves into this area where they describe basically walking. So they just walk from one place to another, a lot of different characters. Not very amusing, I should say. Then there is an attempt to play politics, which wasn't that well developed. And there was this standoff between the main villain and um, the good, the uh, like you can say the main protagonist or the force of good. And it's quite interesting to follow something like that, but you would expect a battle of wheat from them or something like this. Nothing of the kind. And literally, the ending is basically this Deus ex machina. Things just happen on their own. So you don't understand why you read the book at all. So, sorry, not my thing. I know it's popular by some people. Do we have anything else? Oh, interesting. I thought I had some other books here as well. No? So that's all? Okay. Well, no, there must be one more. Let me find it. Yes, this one, The Drawing of Three. I remember there was another because it was a bad book. So after reading Gunslinger, I decided to give it a chance and read the next one. It's called The Drawing of Three, and it literally is about like drawing three people into this world where the main action takes place. And it's just not interesting. You don't care about the characters, you don't understand why they matter. So I give up the whole series after it. I don't see why people like it. But I know it's so legendary, like The Dark Tower. So, guys, you tell me, which books were your favorites? And how do you feel about the books I didn't like? Do you feel the same way? Or is it just me? So please let me know in the comments.